All right, we're back again on Politics and Prepper podcast. Saturday night, 10 o'clock Central Time, and we've got a couple different topics. I think we've talked about some of the guns, and the 22 has been brought up, and I don't exactly agree with it, and I think I'll jump into that tonight. And Jim's not with us tonight, but I was hoping to talk to him about it, but he's not here with us tonight, so I'll just try to get through it on my own, and maybe we'll talk about Romney's pick for VP. Ryan, hell, you just told me his first name. I forget his first name all the time.
Paul Ryan, yeah.
Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
And anyway, okay. I got sidetracked there for a second. Why don't we just jump right into it and see how things go?
Sounds good.
I've got a buddy, Jim, and we've been prepping together, learning survival stuff for a long time. And we've always liked the 22 rifle for plinking, goofing off, training, all kinds of different things. And I'm going to have to disagree with him. And if you listen to this, since you're not here, Jim, we can't maybe get down to this, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. I really respect his opinions about a lot of things, but we differ on this one. And he's kind of convinced that the 22 is the ultimate get everything done rifle. And, I'm not. I think it's a great gun for lots of things. It's probably a great gun for certain types of prepper situations, bug-out situations, survival situations. Used properly, it can bring down a lot of different game. I wouldn't try to bring down a bear or an elk with it, even at close range or far range. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't even try. I would maybe bring down the deer we have here in this part of Texas are fairly small compared to a lot of places in the country. And I know they say everything's big in Texas, but they lied to you. The deer in this part of Texas are not big. I can see in the survival situation bringing a deer down with a 22. And I'm not really talking about 22 mags, even though you can consider those in here too. For general purposes, I'm talking about 22 short, 22 long rifle. There's three of them there. And then, like I said, the 22 Magnum, but you can't use them in the 22 Magnum in the same gun as you use a long rifle, blah, blah, blah. So you're talking about two different weapons there. He has stated several times he'd rather be shot by a bigger caliber than a 22. I wouldn't pick a 22 for a defensive weapon in a defensive situation. I don't have one here at my house that I would use in a defensive situation unless it's the only one I've got. And he discusses that, the 22 will go in and bounce around and just tear up all kinds of things. Well, it might and it might not. It might hit a bone and get stopped. It might just go straight through, not cause much damage at all, depending on what kind of tip's in it. I personally, I'll take my 45, and I have a new 9mm that I'm using for my carry gun, but for stopping power, a 44, 45, they're just really good. A lot of people like 357. It's still good. My personal pick for a gun to defend myself with up in close range is a 45. It's not a high-speed caliber, but it sure has a lot of knockdown power. And there's a lot of people been shot by 22s, and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. There's not a whole lot of people been shot by 45 that it doesn't do a heck of a job. Even if I hit somebody in the arm, it would move them around enough to where I'd probably get a second shot off. A 22 is not going to do that. Carrying it for like a bug out bag, and you're going to use it to wild some game, rabbit, squirrel, deer, something like that. And at a pinch, like my 10-22, or if you have a pistol that's a semi-auto that has a decent amount of ammo in it, and you can unload on somebody real quick, but usually you want that first 20 count. And 22s, I just don't think can do it, unless you just really get a good shot or a lucky shot. So the point is, it's not my pick for a survival weapon that you might be in a defensive situation. Now, if you're going to go out and or pretty sure you're going to be in an area where you're not going to have to defend yourself, which in a really bad situation, you're not going to know that. If say there was a total collapse and that's what you're planning on, and you're going to go out into the wilderness and you're going to survive, and you've got a plan, I would not take a 22 and use it for survival, because there's going to be other people out there, or there's a very good chance to be other people out there, and you don't know what kind of people they are, so you don't know if you need it for a defensive weapon or not. And one of the things we also talked about was planning, what are you going to plan for? Are you going to plan for a lot of different scenarios and try to get them all taken care of? And like we discussed, my strategy is to stay home if I can. If it gets too bad and we got to leave, then I've got a destination to go to. We meet up with other friends, and we've got a stash of stuff there. And then final destination, we've got more stuff there. So what do you think you're going to run into? The first step, second step, third step. Whatever you're planning for, you got to know what you think you're going to get into and plan for that. Even if you're wrong, at least you tried. Because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, what the scenario might be. So you just got to kind of play it by ear. And as far as I'm concerned, the gun that you feel the most comfortable with is probably the best gun for you, because you're confident in that gun. You probably will be able to use that gun in a stressful situation much easier than just picking up any gun that you haven't used and try to use it. So I have different weapons in different places for different things. And by the time I get to my final destination, I will have the weapons I need to cover just about everything I think might happen. Of course, some people think it might be a total government takeover. They're going to pull the rug out from underneath us, take all our rights from us. I really don't think it's going to go that far, but it's a possibility. And if they're going to find you, with all the drones that they're talking about putting out there, and if they actually came after you, you're probably not going to be able to do anything but do some damage and hold out as long as you can and do the best you can. But they're going to come out with weaponry that you just can't stand up to. Hopefully before it got to that point, people would start seeing what was going on, understanding what was going on. Even the military would, and whoever's involved would start backing off, because they would see that this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought we had some bad guys here we're going to go get, and now I'm saying we're going after everybody that disagreed with the government. And it's, just millions of people. We can't do that. And, hopefully by then people will start figuring that out and things should kind of calm down. But who knows? Nobody knows. So we got a guest, Charles. Heck, I don't have my glasses on. I can't read it, but it's an 8854. Welcome, Charles. I know you're not a gun person.
Right.
But do you have any questions or comments on that?
I don't, because I've never shot either one. So
Well, that's good. I'm just making sure.
I actually just try to listen and learn when you're talking about.
I kind of thought you wouldn't have it, but I had to ask just to make sure.
Just not for any particular reason. I'm not definitely not opposed to them.
Well, I know that, and I did. I think you've
not
said
that
that before.
Actually, I was raised with my father had probably 50 different guns, all kinds of crazy guns. But
there's nothing wrong with not being a big gun person. I mean, there's things out there that I'm not into that other people are. It's okay.
No, but I kind of wish that he would have taught me more about it. My dad was a collector, more than a practicing shooter.
Yeah.
I never really seen him shoot guns too much, but he had a lot of them.
Well, I know a lot of people that are bigger collectors than they are shooters. Of course, most of them do like to shoot, and that's where they got into it. But it's not a cheap hobby either, And what we're talking about right now is not a hobby. I get it because it's a hobby. I love to shoot. I've got 3 different 45s, revolvers, single action, and I shoot those for the fun. And then I've got hunting guns and defensive weapons and guns just to have fun with.
So you're going to be biased towards the 45, though, right? Because
I'm going to be biased from the 45 as far as my personal best pick defensive weapon, because of partially because of what I said a while ago. There's 2 things I mentioned a while ago that really, because of the knockdown power of that 45, and without trying to get too technical, say a 357 mag, it's a very high speed, but smaller round. 44 is so close to the 45, I really don't have that much of a preference, although I do prefer the 45 because it's not a high-speed round, and a lot of the 44s are, because you're talking about most people that want a 44, they got a 44 mag.
Right.
And I'll get to read what you're saying here in a minute, Charles. And since that 44 is a little bit bigger, and it is a little bit slower, it has more tendency to have more knockdown power because it's not going so fast it goes through you. It dissipates most of its energy in you. Not to say it can't go through you. Well, that's one reason. Another reason, I am so comfortable. I have been shooting a 45 pistol single action since I was a young guy, and I've competed with them. I can pull that gun out. I don't even have to think about it. I just point it in the direction, and I'm going to hit pretty close to what I want to hit. But I did get my concealed carry type gun. There's a 9mm to go with the Kel-Tec 9mm I've got rifle. And it has more ammo. It's cheaper to load. Cheaper to shoot. It's lighter ammo, so you can carry more. Let's see. What does Charles say? When more people have guns, there is less need for municipal policies, and I'm having a hard time reading this because I don't have my glasses.
Yeah, I didn't log in until after he commented it, so I can't see it.
Well, he's talking about, taxes imposed on us and stuff. Yeah, I can't disagree there, but I don't know if it's the guns that really... the guns haven't stopped us from them going overboard as it is, but we could stop that just by saying no more. We haven't... Too many people don't participate, but police need
less need for police.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, and look how many police a lot of these big cities have that have gun control laws, and they have police all over the damn place, but they got a higher murder rate than places with a lot of guns. And that's proven, and they don't listen. you go to a city where most likely you're not going to run into a gun, then if you're a criminal, you pretty much know you can do what you want to and get away with it. You come to a city like my town, you pretty much know any house you go into is going to have a gun, and probably more than one, and they probably know how to use it. So the crime rate stays down. You don't need as many police. So, of course, guns are the one thing that we have to stop the government from getting too stupid. Get too stupid too quick. They have to answer to the solution, and hopefully the solution is us telling them don't do shit, and not us pointing a gun at them and not telling them not to do shit. It's a lot easier and safer. But I really wish more people would get involved. But I can't make them do it, and they're not going to do it till it gets too bad, which I've said over and over again. It's got to get really bad before it gets better.
Well, there's a reason why the founders put that in there.
Yeah, right. There was a reason. They knew it.
Yeah, they've seen it. I mean, it's in cycles. It gets bad, you lose your rights, and then you fight to get them back, and then you write this document. I mean, and
then people start trusting their government too much and say, "Oh, yeah, do that." Of course, they are doing that, and they think you're idiots and they're better than you. And instead of them being our servant, they think we're their servants, and they think we're stupid, and they think we're idiots, and they think we'll believe anything they want to. And of course, there's people out there that will. They drink the Kool-Aid and they do whatever they're told, and they believe whatever they're told. Never bother to check up once on the.
It's not so much that they think we're idiots. It's they get elected because we're idiots.
Because we went to them. We're idiots.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't idiots, I mean, as a group,
yeah,
they wouldn't get elected. So we're going to blame but ourselves.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I'm doing this show, and that's
right.
The reason we have the new website. So go ahead and tell them about the new website.
It's livefreenews.com, and I'll have the show notes. I didn't get last week's show notes up, but I need some help from you with that, Steve. But anyhow, it'll be, I'm going to format it a little differently. It's going to be livefreenews.com/17 for the show notes for the show.
Okay.
So it'll be real easy to remember. And you can follow us on Twitter also at livefreenews. So.
All right. And did we have something else? Do we have a Facebook yet?
Yeah, it's facebook.com/livefreenews.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you said it, or
yeah, go over there and like it, and follow along with the stuff. We find neat, interesting articles and news clips and stuff, and we'll of course share them on there.
We haven't spent as much time as we should over there, and I'm guilty of it too. There's a lot more stuff to put up, but I've got other websites. You've got other websites. We both have jobs. I know your schedule the last few days has been crazy, and then for the next day or two, it's going to be crazy. So,
yeah,
maybe we'll get together next week and go over the show notes and get some more stuff put up.
You guys get to talking about guns, man. I need a little help so I can educate people.
You can do that. Not a problem. I really wanted to go out today and pick up some new add-ons for my Keltec Sub 2000, but it's been 100 degrees down here, and I work outside, and I just did not want to go out and run around anywhere after this week.
Yes, so you can get the laser sights and everything yet?
No, I think I'm just going to wait for the gun show next week, and I can probably get everything I want there. And a lot of times it's a better price, but I don't like paying for the privilege to go in and spend my money. But lately I've started going back to them. And
no, that is a .22 caliber, isn't it?
Which one?
The Keltec.
No, the Keltec's a 9mm.
Yeah.
Like pistol like that.
Yeah.
And I want to get extended clip for it, which I think we talked about last week. The extended clips, like 30 rounders, I don't think they're that big a deal to have. But if you want to hear my opinion of those, you can go back to last week's, because I think it was on last week's. Mm-hmm. So we won't go into that. But I want to get a few clips. I'm going to get a 30-round clip just because it looks cool. And I want to get one of those. And I'm probably going to get a couple other sizes for it. And I may get another little bit larger clip for the pistol. and I want to get some different sights for it, some grips, some different add-ons to it to make it cool, to make it work nice, laser sights, all that kind of stuff. And I don't even know if I'm going to use them all, but I'm going to put them all on there. I'm going to do videos and reviews of all the different things I do to it, and go from there. Oh, yeah. we lost Charles.
Yeah, Charles bugged out.
You just had that in there, didn't you?
Yeah, right. It wasn't what I thinking when I said it.
That's because you're tired. You one of those people get funny when you're tired?
Yeah, I get like punch drunk, whatever you call it. Yeah, I'm gonna put a link up on the show notes. Not to switch gears on you, but this guy I follow for health stuff. His name's Dave Asprey. He has like an hour-long video on basically explaining the diet that he follows, and that's the diet that kind of got me started 10 months ago.
Well, I have problems with you talking about health stuff because I want to get into that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this guy is really cool. He's basically a biohacker, and he hacks his own health.
For biohacker, a lot of people don't know what that is. Go ahead and explain it real quick.
Yeah, a biohacker is basically someone who's finding ways to change their biology, through experiment with different types of technologies and food and supplements and exercise and just any way to make themselves better, to live a better life, healthier life, and longer life.
It could be like training yourself mentally to do things better. It could be better. Supplements.
Yeah, he does things like he spent about $250,000. Now this guy made a little bit of money with a business he had sold, or I don't know if he had stock in a business or what, but so he had spent like $250,000 over decade or so. He's sending like low voltage, electrical voltage through his head and stuff to see how it would affect. Nothing like they do for for
you're gonna have
anything like that.
Put their eyes around.
These are a lot different. They're like real low voltage, but and then experiment with different types of supplements and different types of meditating techniques, and it's all kind of crazy stuff. But he talks a lot about those things he's tried, and he's an executive for an internet cloud computing company. He's like vice president or something. So he travels around the world doing lectures and stuff for them, and he's got this website. He's wrote a book. He wrote a book actually. It's called The Better Baby Book. And I'm sure it's awesome because this guy, he's done so much research, and he actually reads research. Like, he doesn't just read articles, and it's like me. I'm more like
I can read research.
Yeah, he reads the research and figures out, whether it's good science or not. But but he talks about, in this video, like resetting your leptin. Leptin's a hormone that not a lot of people understand or know about. Even it's relatively newly discovered in the last 10 or 20 years. But leptin is basically a hormone that triggers your body to control its fat storage. So
I hadn't heard about that one. I don't remember.
Leptin is really fascinating. It's really cool. But the problem is people become resistant to it. So basically leptin is triggered in your body to say, I'm to store fat, and then it should say, okay, I got enough fat stored. I don't need to eat. Okay, and then I can burn the fat. But when you become leptin resistant, it loses that signal, and it just keeps telling you eat, and then it drives that hunger because it thinks you don't have any fat stored.
Well, does it? I don't know if you've checked into it this far, but I got a question about it.
Yeah.
When your body gets down to the point where it's got, like I say, a normal fat content, does it still tell it to keep doing that, or does it kind of control itself because the body fat is lowered down?
Yeah, if you're eating a normal whole food diet, your body will become more sensitive to this leptin, and whenever you start storing fat, it'll tell your mind, okay, I don't need to eat. You know what I mean? Because I got fat stores.
And then when your fat level gets down, it'll go, oh, I don't have enough fat. I want some more food. Well,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but what happens is the crap we eat, like wheat and stuff like that, it really messes up your leptin and becomes insensitive. It's very similar. It's actually kind of a precursor to insulin insensitivity. It's the same thing, but insulin sensitive. Once you get like a long-term kind of leptin resistance, then you start becoming insulin resistant too. So it can really help in preventing or not preventing or helping cure, diabetes and things like that. So,
well, have you put any of that kind of stuff on your website?
No, that's what I'm gonna put a link to this video on there because
okay.
He talks about like ketones and the benefits of eating butter, intermittent fasting. Talks a lot about.
Well, what you probably ought to do, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is probably ought to do is I know you've got that new health site. So you put get some information up there and put a link on the new website for this, and then give them the links on your website where they can go to and find the information. Or you can put it on the new website, just give them a straight link to it, make it easy for them. Whatever works for you.
Anybody that listens to this, just go to livefreenews.com/17, and it'll be there. The link. It'll probably be a link to my site or whatever. But.
All right, so you're going to include that in the show notes.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, that's cool.
But
just throwing out ideas while we go. Because if I don't say them when I think of them, I probably won't remember them.
This guy is really sensitive to himself personally. He's sensitive to molds and toxins, mycotoxins. So he talks a lot about that. His diet's designed to cut back on all of those things.
I suspect that's why he got into doing this, huh?
Yeah, because he was like 300 pounds for a long time and tried all the normal kind of weight loss stuff, and his brain function was really bad. And then just over time, he kind of figured this stuff out, like what to eat, what he ate. See, like a biohacker, they eat stuff, they see if they feel better. And it's like a testing. It's always good testing. So you get on a clean diet, and then if you want to try to introduce something back in, so hey, I'll try to bring milk or dairy back in and see how it affects me. And if I feel better with it, I eat more of it. If I don't, I don't. So it's not about like losing weight. It's more about health and more about making yourself better. So,
well, I'm interested in that stuff. So keep us updated on that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time keeping away from the carbs, but I'm trying. And I know I'm cutting back on stuff and gravitating.
We'd all be skinny,
Well, if I lose too much weight, then I got to get new holsters and stuff for my guns.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what. What do you think about Romney's choice for VP, Paul Ryan?
I don't know. I guess it could be worse.
I was kind of surprised.
I mean, I think it's a better pick than Sarah Palin or something.
Sarah Palin would have been a good pick now because they've already attacked her so much and intimidated her, and she did deserve it. But I think Ryan, I got mixed emotions about it. Like, I think him as along the same lines that he's been kind of attacked, but at the same time, I've been waiting for Romney to stand up and quit being the West and quit leaning towards, well, the left is going to say this if I do that. They're going to say this, that, and they're going to attack me. Screw them. I think it's right. Get out there and promote it and tell people, this is what I believe, this is what I want, and this is who I am. And if you are, do it. And if you're not, don't say it.
Sometimes I have this kind of dream that Mitt Romney is kind of more of a conservative than maybe he acts because he wants to get elected, But he's kind of a guy who I think will do whatever he has to get elected.
See, I don't trust him. And
I don't either. But I have this sense that maybe he's not really like a warmonger and stuff like that. That maybe he's more like a business person.
He's not the.
I don't know though.
Hopefully, You're right.
I
Because
don't know how many strings are being pulled. I don't know how many strings are connected to his arms and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know either.
Yeah, who knows really who's controlling him?
I really got a feeling that he's not much better than Obama, but any better than Obama is who I got to vote for. I couldn't vote for Obama if he was the only one running. But of course, if he was the only one running, I wouldn't need to vote for him.
You always get the feeling these guys all sell their soul to get that high up.
I wouldn't doubt it a bit. You know, I liked Reagan, but even Reagan had some faults, and even Reagan did some stuff that I didn't like, and even Reagan did some stuff that goes along with a lot of the stuff that we're preaching about, New World Order and stuff. And
but even Reagan, he admitted he didn't like some of the things he did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many politicians are going to write, like the modern day politicians are going to write their memoirs later and admit that they didn't like something they did? You on that? No, I don't think so.
I just wish we had somebody who would come out and just say, look, this is the difference. There's a big difference. Like Reagan did, bold pastel color type differences,
Yeah.
And just be that person. And Romney, I think, is just selling them whichever way the wind blows that he thinks he's going to get what he wants to get. That's the way he blows. If he thinks he needs to pass a law that is liberal as hell, then he'll pass a law that's liberal as hell. If he thinks he's got to be conservative, he'll be conservative. I hope I'm completely wrong and he is a more conservative person than I think he is, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think he's going to screw us when he gets there. Now, I think he's going to do some good things, but I think overall he's going to screw us. We don't have much choice.
I hope he's more like Clinton and just kind of partying all the time. Don't write too much legislation or anything. Or not write. He can't write legislation, but I mean, it didn't seem like Clinton was too active. I don't know.
No, well, this
the economy was booming.
Obama really hasn't gotten that much done. It's his people in Congress that have gotten a lot of it done. Then he just comes back from vacation and signs stuff, which, by the way, from what I understand, a lot of this crap he doesn't sign. He robo-signs it when he's on vacation or out of town or at the golf course. He just robo-signs it. Which, isn't there some crap going on about that for the banks? If it's illegal for the banks, wouldn't it be illegal for him?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was just something I heard about today, and I haven't looked into it too hard. I think if it's a big deal, there'll be a lot more information coming out about it.
It's even frustrating. I mean, he better not get reelected. That's all I gotta say.
Oh God, I hope not. And
Maryland's gonna elect him, so I mean, I'm gonna vote, but it's hard to get motivated to walk over there to the booth.
Yeah,
it's like but you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah,
but, it's frustrating. I live in a state that's not a swing state.
I would very much be surprised if it wasn't a landslide against him, and if it wasn't a landslide in the Congress. I think we're going to have in Congress. I think we're going to have a repeat of the last election, where there's a bunch of Democrats who get their butts kicked out, which is going to be a big help. And if Congress is mostly or a large majority conservative, then whoever is president won't be able to get shit done that Congress doesn't want them to get done. Unless they keep doing like this jerk does and uses his presidential powers to just say, do it. Presidential orders.
Right. Yeah, right. Executive orders,
yeah. Bear Gillis. You heard the name before?
Yeah, the survival guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jim may have mentioned it on TV the other day. On the show the other day. But I was kind of checking into it. And the reason I mention this, there's a reason for this. Right now, Bear Gillis does a survival show, and shows you survival techniques and everything. And I believe he's very good at what he does. And I've watched some of his stuff, even though I think he takes too many chances to try to make a more exciting show.
Right.
That's really beside the point. A lot of the stuff that he does is good training. It's good information, good training. But what he's been doing is he'll go out and shoot a segment of the show, and then he'll, where he's like parachutes into a place, or he's on a deserted island or something like that. Well, he's not really in the remote place, and he's not really on a deserted island.
Really? Staged?
It is staged.
It's like Lost?
He will, like
Disney World on the beach, and you think they're on an island.
Yeah. Well, there's one where it was in Hawaii, and it was on the little islands, just that are near Hawaii. There's part of the Hawaiian chain, and a couple of those islands are I don't think you'd want to call it deserted. Maybe it's a couple of miles across the water to the town where you can go get a nice breakfast and stuff. But it's like, or it may have been a little island that had population, but he was on one end of it, acting like he was,
I always liked the other guy better.
Which one?
Survivor Man. What's that guy's name?
I've seen that show, and I can't remember his name.
He carries it. He doesn't have anybody go with him. Like he carries his own stuff.
Yeah, his own camera and stuff.
That dude's like, I don't know. He should get some kind of Emmy or something, because he's out there dying, and he's got to walk in these outrageous places and set a camera and then walk back and then act like he's walking by again. Yeah. He's got like 60.
He's got to cover twice the territory.
Yeah, I mean, and then he's starving to death. I'm pretty sure he's authentic enough. He doesn't take food.
Well, there's a lot of information out there that Gillis was going out during the day and staging his, and doing his stuff, and then he'd go in and spend the night in a hotel room and have, and there was one. I saw this on the YouTube video as I was checking around for stuff, and there was this like lava flow. Yeah. And I suspect they were in Hawaii. There was a lava flow, and it's got a big crevice. Well, part of that lava flow had a place where there was like a little bridge of lava. It was all broken up in little pieces and everything, and he was talking about, you got to be careful about crossing this kind of stuff because you don't know how strong it is. And he shows the guy, he shows Gillis going across and getting to the other side. And then the next one is, there's another clip that goes with it. The guy that made this clip goes back and goes, look, here is that same one. And he shows you that little place where he crossed, and it is the exact same one. And then he raises the camera a little bit higher than what the show did, and there's a highway there with cars going by.
Oh, my. Man, you just ruined that show for me. and I was watching that other one with the two Survivor guys.
Yeah, the one that they're totally opposite, one barefooted and
yeah, the dude's barefooted running through the jungle.
Yeah, cold places, hot places.
That dude's like crazy hippie, man.
He's definitely a hippie. But anyway, the point about what I'm getting to is he shouldn't have been trying to portray himself as being in places that totally alone, that his survival depended on his abilities. Even though his abilities could do it for him, he could do that, and I'm pretty sure he could do that. I know his background, training and everything, and what I've seen, he could do that. But he shouldn't have been trying to make people think he was. So the misrepresentation, basically just lying. But for those of you that have watched the show and now do not want to watch the show, don't discount the information he's given you.
Yeah.
And that's the point of this. Just because he has done stupid doesn't mean those pointers of how to start fires, how to survive this, how to do that, does not mean that they weren't good information.
Just like Jason Bourne, he wasn't really kicking people's ass, but that's how I learned everything. I learned all my self-defense.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a show anymore after all this, because I think his name is ruined.
I didn't even hear about it.
Well, I don't think you'll see the show on anymore unless it's reruns.
Wow.
But we'll see.
It's an entertaining show. I think. Yeah, I can see that for that kind of, especially for that kind of audience. Like it is kind of taints it. I don't want to It's just messed up.
Well, I don't want to watch him anymore just for the fact that he lied.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more the lying than the staging. I mean.
Yeah, and I don't want to participate in that because I don't like that kind of crap.
I'd be more upset if I found out that guy that's supposed to be by himself wasn't really by himself. I can't think of the guy's name. But.
Yeah, I can't either. I've only seen it a couple times, and I don't watch these shows all the time. I don't either. Most of the stuff I already know, but I'll be flipping through the channels or something, or I'll watch them for a little bit, But they're just not that interesting to me. But there's good information in them, so if you like watching them, watch them. If you don't. And I'm not saying either way. Whatever you want to do. I'm just saying if you had been watching that show and you got some information, don't discount it just because he lied about how he was doing the show. Information is information. It can be good and it can be bad. A lot of what I saw with him, it was good. So I probably won't watch the show anymore, but I didn't hardly watch it anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference.
If you don't mind, man, I don't know if you want to cut this short a little bit.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's it for the We have both had pretty busy few days, and that's why I wasn't as prepared for this. I don't know. The heat. We had 4 people out yesterday that got sick from the heat.
Oh, really?
I mean, during the day, we had to bring them in, sit them down, cool them off, and watch them. And we didn't have to send anybody to the hospital, but it came close. And about a week ago, we had one that ended up in the hospital because of it. So, I think ending the show, we got 45 minutes in, 47 minutes, something like that. And I really don't have anything else. And this show is, when I get to the point where I feel like I do right now, the show is not going to be any good anyway. So let's just call it a night. And I will remind everybody, if you're looking for information on bug-out bags and bug-out bag content, whether it be knives and guns and the different equipment that you're going to need, things to look for, I've got a website called bestbugoutbagcontent.com. You're going to be able to find links on, what's the name of that show? That new white website?
Yeah, it's livefreenews.com.
All right. You got it right.
And go to the show notes at livefreenews.com/17.
And we are going to try in the next couple of days to get things lined up over there and get the show notes up so y'all can find this stuff. But we're working tomorrow, and so we're going to have to get together and go over the show notes and get some stuff figured out.
I'll be around during the day, so.
Okay.
I work night shift.
So stop by the website. If you want to help us, you like what we're trying to do, and you want to help us, stop by those places, spend some time on them, leave some comments, like the stuff if you like it, tweet it, like it on Facebook, whatever. Help us out. It won't cost you a penny to help us promote the show and the websites. And guess 4, we are out of here. I'm glad you stopped by. Hopefully you'll stop by next week. We do this every Saturday night at 10 o'clock Central Time, but we're done for the night. But thanks for stopping by. All right?
Okay, man. Have a good week.
Talk to you later, and we'll be back next week. Bye.